calling in really just some advice of where to go from this point in my life. Um, I know you saw a little bit from the email.
Yeah, do you want to read that, or do you want to tell me about that?
Well, I grew up only child. I've always been a loner. I've always been an introvert, and I'd been on I'd been on disability since I was 18, and came out of a really unstable house, unstable home, and I lived from the time I was about 18 or so until the time I was about 30, in my early 30s. I lived alone, um, and never had any intention of having children. Had any intention of uh, even being in any kind of relationship. Um, but I would say, really through motivation from listening to various YouTubers, including yourself, um, I I started really trying to put myself out there, and I got lucky to and I mean, I don't know how much into detail you want me to go, but
I don't either, but I'm certainly happy to keep listening. Everything's fine so far.
yes, okay. Um, I mean, when I started out, I was very much a leftist. I was very, very liberal, and I would say listening not just to you, but a lot of these different guys back in the day, really, what they say really red pilled me on a lot of things. So I was I almost became nihilistic at a point, and so around 20, this is around right after the pandemic. This is around 2021. I finally said, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to try to get in some kind of relationship. But I was I was I thought it was impossible to get anywhere with women, and so I tried. I tried entering into a gay relationship, um, and I had a series of encounters that were not very wise. And
Sorry, what do you mean?
I met I met some random people on on a gay dating app, and trying to find connection. Just I was looking for some sort of connection, some sort of
Oh, you mean
emotional.
like you had hookups on like Grinder or something like that, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
So you just met men,
and
and basically the point is to get together for anonymous sex. Is that right?
yes, it was that. I think for me, it was more using that as a way for some kind of close emotional closeness to somebody, which I felt I'd never really had. And I tried to start a serious relationship with a guy, uh, and he completely turned me down. And so one night I thought, well, what if I tried asking a woman just for the heck of it? Because I really felt I had nothing to lose. And I asked this woman out.
I'm sorry. How old were you at this point?
I was 32.
32. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, and I'd never. This was the beginning of my dating life and sexual life. So I asked this woman out, and she said, "Yeah." And she said
I'm sorry.
she
Did you
said
meet
she
her? Oh,
actually
sorry.
lived
Did you
in.
meet her on an app, or did you know her in life? Or
She worked at a grocery store where I frequently went to,
oh, okay.
and
So you asked out a cashier
she,
or something
yeah,
like that. Okay, got it. So go ahead.
yes. And to my surprise, she said yes, and she said she lived in another state. Actually, she drove here from another state, and she said once they moved up here, she would be willing to date. Well, I didn't think much of it. I actually even forgot to ask her name. I didn't even, and over time, it was over a couple months' time. My family found out about this. Like they ran into her in there, and and she had asked about me, and they found out about it, and I was really embarrassed. And but
I'm so sorry.
sure,
Were you still living at home at the time with your parents?
I was I no, I was living by myself, but uh, my parents also go in there. They also frequent that same store,
Okay, got it.
and
And sorry, but why were
and
you
so
why were you embarrassed? Did they embarrass you, or were you embarrassed for some other reason?
I was just always really all my life I'd always been really embarrassed uh at the idea of dating. For some reason, I always had a real hang up about the idea of anything like that, especially especially with women. Like oddly enough, I felt I would have felt more comfortable telling them that I was dating a guy than I was dating a woman. I don't know why, but that's how it was.
Okay, so what happened after your parents found out?
Uh, my dad actually he kind of helped me. He was it's kind of like a wingman. He was explaining. He was trying to really help me out in a lot of ways, and um, he told he told the girl that he warned her that I had some probably autism going on, and and she was still open to the idea of dating me. She said she had two autistic nephews, and so we started communicating on text message, and we finally went out on a date. Uh, I actually first I helped her move into her new house, and then our first date she came over to my apartment, and I cooked dinner for us. And from this point, things escalated wildly. I mean, um, my life just kind of turned into a whirlwind from this point. Um, through because of some drama in her family, she actually ended up moving in with me pretty quick, and moved into my apartment. And right away, I was like, "Well,
I'm so sorry. So you're 32, 33 at this point, and how old is she?
she was 28."
28. Okay, so sorry, go ahead.
And she had also, she had also, I mean, she had dated, but um, she had never actually had like full on sex with a guy. She was, and I confirmed this with everybody that she knew. She was always saving herself for somebody, and that was really endearing. I thought that was really sweet.
And was that for religious
Um,
reasons or other reasons?
I think so. I think it had a lot to do with the way she was raised.
Sorry,
I
but she
mean,
must have told. Did she tell you why she was not having sex?
she said she just felt it wasn't right. She did sexual things with both. I mean, she did sexual things with both uh, men and women, but she didn't have intercourse.
Oh, so you're both bisexual?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yes,
Just checking. Okay, go ahead.
and so when she moved in with me, I got to know her family really well, and we got along really well. And I got it in my head right away. I said, "Well, I put some money. I've had some money aside. I need to buy us a house." So I got to work on that. Another thing, I didn't even drive at this time. I didn't have a car. So I said, "Well, I've got this money. I need to buy a car
And
to take
sorry,
her to
I
work."
thought you said you'd been on disability. So where did the money come from?
I was allowed to save some. I was allowed to save some of it.
Oh, okay. So
And
and did you? you had low living expenses and you were allowed to save the extra from disability. Is that right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I had very low living disabilities at this time, particularly during the pandemic when there were stimulus payments coming in from the president.
Okay, and you were living alone, but your expenses are very low. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay, got it.
and so I used this wisely to buy these things and bought this car, and she actually taught me to drive. Up to this point, I'd just driven a scooter around. I'd driven a motor scooter around. She taught me to drive, and my dad helped me buy this tiny little house. Um, and it wasn't long before we moved in there. And I was starting to have a lot of emotional issues because there, things were happening really fast. And it was, I was happy, but it was also very, very stressful.
Sorry, when you say things were happening, I mean, the weather happens, right? I mean, you were making choices, right?
Yes, yes, I was.
Okay, so
The
you weren't
choices were happening
happy.
fast.
Well, okay, but the choices were happening fast, but you can also choose to slow down, right?
Yes. I felt that if I didn't do things this way, if I didn't move this way at the speed, that I would lose her.
Why did
Because
you?
again,
Sorry, why did you think that?
I,
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not sure what the thinking process is. I mean, to say, where we've just met. I mean, how long was it before you helped to move in that she moved in with you?
it was about a month after we started dating or maybe less than a month that she moved in.
Okay, so a couple of weeks
And
after you
then
started dating, she moved in, and neither of you have any particular relationship experience, right?
hers was minimal. She didn't have a lot of relationships,
Okay.
but she'd had some. Yeah.
Okay, and you said it was drama about her family. Is that like she said, there's bad things going on in my family, so I need to come live with you?
She her situation was she had when she moved here, she was living with her sister and her sister's boyfriend. And the agreement they had made was that her sister's boyfriend would buy this house that they moved into, and she would live there with them and help pay the bills and help raise her sister's two children. But her and her sister's boyfriend butted heads over a lot of things, and
I'm
he
sorry, but
basically just kicked her
sorry to interrupt. Were the sister's children by this boyfriend or by some other man or men?
by a different man.
Okay, so
Yes.
this was like a guy who was not related to the children living there.
Right.
Okay, got it. So she butted heads and he kicked her out?
Yes.
Huh.
And
So her
and
sister, hang
so
on. So her sister let her boyfriend, what, kick out her sister? Why didn't he just say, no, she's staying and deal with her boyfriend?
I don't know. She ended up her sister sort of ended up siding with the boyfriend in a lot of ways and telling the kids, well, your aunt shouldn't have acted that way, those sort of things.
Okay. Okay. So then she moves in with you within a couple of weeks. And if you said, look, I sympathize, I can't, I mean, we just started seeing each other, we need a little bit more time. Maybe I can help you out if you need some rent money or whatever. But that wasn't, I mean, you felt that wasn't an option, which is, I mean, I'm just trying to map it. I don't have any judgment about anything. I'm just trying to map. So you felt like, well,
Hmm.
you should come live with me because you've got no other place to go or something like that, right?
Right. And I was happy to have her move in, but it was kind of shocking that it happened that we decided to do that so quickly.
Right. Okay. Okay. So
But
I just wanted to make sure that so you felt you couldn't slow things down because if you slowed things down, she might not date you. Is that right?
yes, and it all goes back to what I all the hundreds of hours of listening to the red pill content of thinking, okay, if I don't constantly try to impress her, then she's going to lose interest in me.
Oh, so this didn't come from you. This didn't come from her. This came from like other. Um, vloggers or something like that. So it didn't come from her, and she said, "If you don't let me move in, I'm going to dump you." This didn't come from her. This was just something that you thought or felt based upon some other input, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
It was all me pretty much. All of these ideas, it was just all me. And so now I do want one thing I need to mention. I want to stop and mention this is that up until this point in my life, I had been, since I was a child, I'd been atheist. And up around in the years leading up to when I met this girl, I had been in a deep dive. I mean, years long deep dive um, into philosophy, into theology, because I was determined. Okay, I want to know what is the truth about all this. You know, there's people who believe these things. I want to. Um, I just want to know what the truth is, no matter what it is, no matter how uncomfortable it is. And so that was reaching that was reaching its head right at the time I started dating her. I was deep in this, studying this, and so to me, I think it was just there was just a whole act of it was just a whole act of desperation at the moment. I was trying to figure myself out. I was trying to understand life, and I mean, this is going to sound bad, or it's going to sound convenient, but this the events that happened with the girl I was dating ended up helping convince me um, in the reality of God. um, it helped me. Up until this point, it was this all had been purely intellectual for me. I'd studied all of this, but the events that I'm about to explain, they all led me to the conclusion that okay, not everything in the world, maybe not everything in the world is purely causal. Maybe there is an outside force that interferes. So back to back to what I was saying with my
Yeah, but just call her
girlfriend
Sue,
moving
if
in.
that's all right.
Yes.
Sue. Okay, go ahead.
So Sue, her and I got along very well from the very beginning, and I got along with her family, and she got along with mine, and I was really pushing for us to get married. I really felt it was, especially as I was becoming religious. You know, I was becoming more sure that okay, maybe I really do believe this Christianity. I was like, maybe I do believe this, and because I've been sort of gifted this in my life, I owe something to God. I need to, I need to, I need to be respectful of this. And so before that could happen, um, she got pregnant. I and I had wanted, I had never wanted a child in my life. I'd never wanted a
Sorry,
relationship in
but
my
you were
life.
having unprotected sex, is that right?
We we were using uh, condoms, but sometimes yes, it had been unprotected.
Okay, so she didn't get
And I think
pregnant. You guys chose to get pregnant or chose to take that risk, right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay. I
and
mean, I think you got to use them every time. I'm not an expert, but I think
yeah,
okay. So you guys chose to get pregnant or at least take that risk.
yeah. I think both of us wanted a child, but we were both afraid.
No, no, I get that, and I'm just going to nag you about this passive language. You know, she got pregnant.
Yeah,
It's like no, you know, you chose to engage in unprotected sex, so you chose pregnancy.
right. Yes,
Okay, I just because I don't want the perception is probably that it seems to be the perception is that things are happening to you, but they're not. You're making choices.
yes, that is
Okay,
true.
and I'm sorry to be an act, but okay, so she gets pregnant, and then what?
And I think everybody was really surprised both families were really surprised, but I was really happy by it. And to me, it felt right with her. Wouldn't have been with anybody else. I would have never felt that way. I never would have wanted a child ever. But I felt that that's something that I felt like she deserved that. I felt that it was my job to make her life better in some way, to give her some sort of stability. Because to me, she seems such a she, and I st- she is such a sweet soul. She is a very rare type of person, and that's really what that's really how I fell in love with her to begin with. Is that I wasn't I wasn't really drawn to anything to do with looks. I didn't even notice that there was anything pretty about her physically. I was drawn to her kindness, and there was just something about her that was different. And so I felt like I needed to have a life with her. It had to happen. Um, but one of the things I started to realize was when you do that, when you enter into that with somebody, it is very sacrificial. It's very you give up a lot, and that um, in the several years since then, that's been a big issue with me. Is trying to figure out the difference between um, how the boundaries between uh, being a family and also being your own person at the same time.
Oh, so sorry, you ended up getting a job or something?
No, I stayed interested in studying philosophy, and
Oh, so you're still on disability, is that right?
yes, yes.
Okay. And sorry, you said you got on at 18, and for what cause?
Uh, it it's for it was autism and uh, uh, major anxiety, major depression, um obsessive compulsive disorder, and also issues with my vision.
Okay. And when did you first start to have the mental health issues?
When I was 15, right in the middle of high school,
And before that, you were more or less okay?
I think I'd always had there were kind of warning signs of it, but I was able to function fairly well, decently up until that point.
And what happened at 15?
I everything started to become my world started to become too much for me, started to become overwhelming, and I had a complete nervous breakdown. And I mean, over about a year's time, my grades in school just I stopped doing work.
No, and I understand, but
Uh,
what happened
yeah.
externally do you think that might have triggered that, if anything?
I I can I, my my parents were having problems. I don't know if it triggered that because I feel like there was a lot that was already genetically present in me, but it may have triggered that. My
Sorry
dad,
to interrupt. What do you mean? I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just. What do you mean by genetically present?
there's there's a history of mental illness on both sides of my family, so I don't know if that influenced me or not.
Yeah, I'm no expert, but I'm not sure that genetics would necessarily show up at 15.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, all right. So things began to be too much. Was there anything in particular that was ever like when you get into your mid-teens? It's usually the dating world and the social world and so on. And you said you'd always been solitary since you were a baby. Now, of course, you don't know that introverted and solitary because we can't really know what we were like as babies. But how much did your parents help prepare you for the dating and social world that you would start to really be entering into at 15?
Well, I mean, I let them know when I started middle school that I was not going to date anybody. I wasn't interested in it. and
Sorry, middle school
I
is
was
like 12? Sorry, what's middle school for you? 13?
yeah yes it was I think it's when I was 11 or 12. I I anticipated all the changes that were coming up in puberty. It terrified me, and it really disgusted me that I was going to become an adult,
Okay, so
that I was going to change.
why do you think it disgusted you? I mean, a lot of kids are eager to become an adult, to be able to get out there and get into the world and be independent. And like a lot of kids are chomping at the bit with that, and you weren't, which is fine. But why do you think it disgusted you to become an adult?
I it I believe it just I can't really I don't really know. I mean, I it just seemed it seemed gosh, it really looking back on it, I was almost like the 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 guy in the Catcher in the Rye, where there seemed almost an impurity about growing up, or a destruction of
Yeah, but I mean,
something.
that character
You
had
know,
been sexually abused as a child, so his disgust had more to do with being used as a fleshlight by adults as a kid. So why do you think it was the case with you? I mean, what was your childhood like before 11 or 12?
like I said, I was always. I mean, I played alone, and until I was 9 years old, I was an only child. Um,
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you play alone, right? I mean, my daughter's an
right.
only child, right? So, but she's got great social skills. So, being an only child doesn't mean that you're isolated, and like that's kind of a cliche, but it's not true necessarily. So, why do you think you were so alone in your childhood?
Not sure. I
Sure
I
you
just
are.
know
Sure you
I
are. You're a
always
smart guy, Mr. Philosophy. Come on. You've been 14 years studying self-knowledge and philosophy. Why were you alone as a child? You can't give me this I don't know after 14 years of studying the truth, right?
well, I mean, I can say for sure that my parents weren't a big part of my life. I was raised by mostly by my grandparents.
Oh, where were your
Uh,
parents?
my my dad was he was technically there. He was technically present, but he stayed gone all night to friends' houses, and
Oh, so he was socializing.
he
He was gone.
yeah he did. From what I understand, he did a lot of illegal things at night, and
Well, what do you
but
mean? Like what?
during the day, I I know he was involved with drugs. I know he was involved with theft. Um, I mean, when I was a kid, he would take me with him a lot of times to a lot of these really shady people's homes, and
Did he
I
work
saw a
during the
lot of
day,
it.
or was he mostly a criminal?
He he had a car business, a car lot that he ran during the day.
Oh, like a car sales place.
Yes,
So that's could be pretty good money if he's running it. So why was he stealing or drug running or whatever he was doing?
I think he was just really immature, and I don't think he was ready for. I don't think he was ready for having a family.
And what was his cultural background?
He was the youngest of four boys. He was raised by very traditional parents, very Southern Baptist Christian parents.
And his
So I don't know.
ethnicity?
It's white.
Okay, interesting. Okay, all right, got it. So he had a good job during the day, but he decided to run drugs and steal at night.
Yes.
Okay. And your mother?
And my mom was she worked, and she went to college, and while she was doing that, I uh, was left with my grandparents or with babysitters. Um, my dad would not watch me. Um, he would sleep during the day,
Right. And
and
sorry to interrupt. Why do you think your mother was drawn to a criminal?
I've asked her that. She said that she felt that he was safe because when she first met him, he seemed safer than most men she had known growing up. That he was kind and sweet to her, but you know he the more negative parts of him came out, after they got together.
Oh, so she didn't know anything. Her claim is that she didn't know anything about his criminal tendencies until they got married?
Yes, yes. That I don't think they dated very long.
Huh, okay. So when she says safe, she means that he was not going to hit her, or he had a lot of money, or I'm not sure what she means by safe in this context.
Yeah, in her case, she'd grown up around with a dad who was very physically abusive and an alcoholic and uh, a cheater, just constantly cheating on her mother, and she had witnessed a lot of just violence, just a lot of vile things, and she felt that my dad was was a nice guy. He seemed that way, and in a way, he is. He really isn't what you would think you would think of as a criminal. He's not really the hardened type of dude.
Well, but he's not a nice guy.
Yeah, he's done some pretty shady things. Yeah,
Okay, I don't find that funny. I'm not sure what's funny
yeah,
about that.
it's just how I cope with things, I think.
No, it's not. Nobody copes with that. They avoid it. Come on, I'm going to put you in the advanced column, 14 years of studying truth philosophy. You should be beyond laughing about criminal parents. Now, did your mother ever suggest to your father that he spend more time with you?
Yes, she did that constantly.
Okay, and I guess he didn't listen, right?
Right. I mean,
Okay.
he like I said, he would take me with him at night
Well,
to
no,
his
no. So
friends'
spending more
houses.
time with your kid isn't bringing him along in your shady theft drug deals,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Did he ever get caught?
That was he. Well, see, that leads us to how they ended up getting divorced when I was in high school. He uh, he moved on to really advanced drugs. He started a meth operation,
Oh God.
and the only reason he got caught is because the woman he was cheating on my mom with this woman who was using meth.
Holy God,
She
this is
turned
just appalling.
yes,
No, stop
she
laughing.
turned
Stop
him
saying
in.
you got to stop laughing, please.
All right, I'll
Please.
try not to.
This is so disconnected. I can't do the convo if you're laughing about this. I mean, your dad was responsible for corrupting a community and putting people's lives at risk, damaging their health, and possibly even killing them by running a meth lab, and you're laughing? People die from this shit.
Yeah, yeah. We found. I mean, my mom went in and showed me where he had hid a lot of the materials in our house in our basement,
Uh-huh.
and she she knew over the years that he was doing some kind of petty crime, but she didn't realize how bad it had gotten.
No, no. No, we don't. I don't know that. You don't know that. It's just what she said.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was a real criminal. How the hell are you supposed to know, or I'm supposed to know, what a woman who's having sex with a meth lord says to be true?
hmm That's just what she told me.
I know, I know.
She,
Oh, look at that. A
yeah,
woman who's saying, "Oh, I really wasn't to blame. Oh, I didn't know." Come on, that's as predictable as
yeah,
sunrise. Oh,
that's
I didn't
true.
know he was mean. I didn't know he was running a dress lab. I didn't know. Yeah, yeah. Come on. How many mafia wives say, "Oh, I knew everything"?
Yeah, I think that's the way it seemed to me because it all came out to me at that time,
Sorry, what all
and
came out to you?
the that about the meth lab and about the him cheating on her with
Okay, so he got caught
the meth.
because his meth tramp, got caught and turned him in?
Yes,
Okay. All right. And then what happened? How old were you then?
I was 16,
Right.
and
So you started to have severe mental health issues when your dad moved into the meth business.
yes,
Okay. You think that might be related? I'm not saying you knew, but you're a very smart guy with very good instincts, so you must have known something was weird or different.
Yeah, it probably did affect me.
Yeah,
Uh,
you think?
so at this point, I was very ambitious with school. I had put a lot of expectations on myself for the kind of career I wanted to be. I wanted to go into the
No,
sciences,
hang on. We weren't
and
talking about you. We were talking about your parents.
okay,
So what happened so your dad was caught, and then what?
and he was facing a lot of jail time, but he was able to make a deal with the court where he went to something called drug court. It was it was sort of a class, rehabilitation class, very strict, where for two
Wait.
years he was.
Hang on. Sorry to interrupt. Your dad was dealing meth and cooking and growing meth, and he got rehab?
Yeah,
That does.
I don't
I'm
know
not an
if
expert. I'm not a lawyer, but that seems unusual to me.
I don't know if he named any names, 'cause sometimes they give you less severe punishment if you name other people who are involved. So I don't know if he did that or what, but somehow or another he he only had to do the rehab, and now he was monitored for 2 years. They watched every movement he made. They called him every night to make sure he was home, and it was an intense class that he went to. I remember that, but
Okay.
he
All
did
right.
manage. I mean, he did manage to eventually give up using it because he was using it and selling. Um,
Well,
because
and making. He was a
yeah,
manufacturer, right?
making yes. But when he was arrested, I mean, he lost everything. He lost his whole life because of what he did, and
But he was a poison
it took
pusher.
him a long.
I mean, don't ask
Yeah,
me for sympathy for this guy. Like whatever you do, I mean, you can ask if you want, but don't. Oh, he was monitored. Oh, he lost everything. Bro was pushing poison into the veins of his community,
yeah,
cheating on your mom, storing dangerous and illegal materials in your house after neglecting and ignoring his son, and being a serial drug dealer and thief for as long as you've known him.
right. And at this point, we moved out of we moved out of the house we'd lived in and moved into an apartment complex. Me and my mom and my brother,
And was your dad
and
working?
he was he was still running his car lot. Um, and of course, he was going to the drug program that he had to do. And he would try to come around. He would try to get back with my mom.
Oh, sorry, I missed the
And
part. So sorry. When he was arrested, they split up.
um, they had split up a little bit before that. He, I forget the series of events, but she had found out about it, and they, I mean, they didn't split up right away. She had tried to make it work. This is this is what she said. She had tried to make it work with him. I don't know how she thought she could make it work after that, but she did. And but eventually she
Hang on.
realized,
So sorry. Your father was caught after being a serial criminal for most of the life that you knew him. And tell me if I got anything wrong. Your father was caught cheating with a meth junkie, growing, distributing, and using meth, and your mom wanted to work it out.
yeah, I don't know if it was just for the sake. She had mentioned something about for being for the sake of me and my brother, but
Wait, what? What
I don't
brother?
see how that.
Hang on. What only child? Where's the brother?
What I well, I was saying that when I was 9, I was a single, or I was a only child until I was 9, and my brother was born, and
Oh, sorry if I missed that. Okay,
so,
so you've got a brother who's 9 years younger. Okay, so
mhm.
but your father is not around and is putting the entire family at risk. Because if a drug deal goes bad, don't they take it out on the family sometimes?
Yeah, she was afraid of that at first.
You
And
think?
she was afraid he
So
was gonna.
why, like,
She,
what is wrong with your mother that she can't peel herself free from a dangerous, drug addicted, cheating with a junkie criminal?
I don't know. That's part of. That
Jesus,
was a
no
big
wonder you're
part of
scared of
me.
women. Sorry, go ahead.
That was a big part of me growing up, realizing that okay, she has her faults. She's not the perfect person I
She
idolized
has
growing
her
up.
faults?
She, yeah, yeah,
No, no. I mean,
and
seriously, she has her faults?
uh, and
She's a mall. She fucks criminals. Right. She has her faults is, sometimes she can be a little fussy about tidying, or once things done a certain way. That's a fault. This is not a fault. She knowingly gave a child to a career criminal in terms of your brother, because she could say, well, I didn't know when I met him, but she
yeah,
sure as hell knew by the time you were 9, right?
yeah, she did.
So
And
she
she's
gave
admitted to
a
me that she,
child, which is the biggest gift a woman can give a man. She gave a child to a criminal.
yeah, and she admitted to me that she really panicked that that she got pregnant with my brother, that she had. She says that she actually said that in the case of both me and my brother, we were born because of, in my case, the birth control didn't work right. Um, s- some kind of chemical reaction caused the birth control not to work.
Well, that's
And
what she
then
says.
in the case,
I mean, sorry, that's what she says.
yeah,
I don't tend to take people who have sex with criminals and keep children around them and give them children. I don't tend to view them as particularly trustworthy in terms of truth and responsibility. But okay, so she says,
right.
oh, chemical reaction didn't work. I got pregnant. All right. And
And
sorry, go ahead.
I've always kind of suspected with her that she didn't actually ever want kids. Like she says she did, but I really don't. From her choices she made, I don't think she really wanted kids.
Okay. Then she should have given you up. Right.
Yeah,
I mean, if I
yeah,
don't want a dog, if I get a dog and it turns out I don't like having dogs, then I give the dog up, right? I find it a good home.
right, right.
All right. Okay, so your parents split up. They live separately, is that right? And then your dad tries to get back with your mom.
Yeah, he would come over to the apartment and try to get back with her, and I kept asking her, "Why are you letting him in? You know, this is what all he's done." And finally, one night, I ran him off. I had a shouting match with him and told him to get lost.
And that's because he was sticking around with your mom. Like, were they back together or having sex or what?
He was trying to get back together with her, tried to start things back with her again, but and she just wasn't. She was just she wasn't. She didn't really. I don't know what was going on with her, where she just didn't see what he was doing.
Sorry, I don't know what that means. Didn't see what he was doing.
I don't know if she wanted him back or she didn't realize he was trying to sweetheart his way back into her life.
Bro, I hate to
I
be
don't know.
harsh and I could be wrong, but it's called the sexual fetish that she likes. I mean, you see these women with Luigi Mangione, right? The guy who shot the healthcare CEO. They love that guy. I mean, serial killers get endless letters about sex and marriage and I want you and nudes, right? There's a lot of women who have a sexual fetish for criminals.
That had crossed my mind about her.
Yeah,
I
I mean, I don't know for sure, but I mean, if you've ever been in the grip of a powerful sexual urge, I mean, I'm sure you have, right? But if that powerful sexual urge points you in the wrong direction, I mean, my God, people are turned on by amputees for God's sakes. I mean, there's a lot of freaky shit going on out there in the planet. So I assume I could be wrong. I don't know for sure, but if this kind of guy, I mean, they were together for how long? 15, 16 years, 17 maybe.
yeah, I believe it was 18 years that
18
they were
years.
together.
Okay, so she knew that he was, and I'm not blaming her for this, because maybe the sexual imprinting, maybe she saw from her mother on violent guys because her dad was violent. So I'm not saying she just picked this out of a carousel, right? But early sexual
Right.
imprinting is very powerful, and it has to be, because again, you don't know. Like when our genetics are born, we don't know if we're in a peaceful society or a violent society. We don't know if you're supposed to bring flowers or a club to a date. So our genes just imprint on what we see around us, right?
Right.
And so if your mother grew up where the sexually successful women, the protected women, were with violent guys, then she's going to imprint on that, and her sexuality is going to be tuned towards violence and criminality. And that's very sad. And, I mean, obviously you should do stuff about it, and you can do therapy or self-knowledge and work to undo these associations. But I would assume that there is a fetish for criminality, which is, unfortunate. It's unfortunate to have it. It's unfortunate certainly to act on it for almost 2 decades. But that's probably why you had to intervene, is that she was drawn back to that. It's like a gravity well. Like you can only fight it for so long if you don't deal with the cause.
Yeah, and it got worse because after she left my dad, she dated for a little while, a little under a year, and she she met another guy at a club, and he was a truck driver, and once again she claimed she was sort of sweet talked into it, but I think what you're saying is more accurate, that she had a criminal fetish. And this guy, he uh he ended up being physically abusive in the extreme. um I lived with them for about 2 years. This is right before I moved in by myself. I lived with them for about 2 years, and I saw so many knockdown drag out fights.
Yeah.
And
So you say in the extreme.
she
What does that mean?
he he broke her ribs and nearly killed her. um and I don't know what all else he had done. I wasn't there for all of it, but he put
But
so many bruises
you were
on
there for some
her.
of it, right?
Yes.
Okay. And
And
did anyone call the cops, or I mean, how did this guy not go to jail?
he he went to jail once for assault, and he would have went to prison for a long, long time for the breaking the ribs, but she talked the judge out of it.
She what?
She I forgot how she did it exactly, but she managed to get the sentence down to, I think it was just a few months' time. He was in there, and then he had parole for 5 years. And
Wow. So she doesn't even really care about protecting other women that this guy's going to end up beating up in the future.
she's to this day she's still with him.
What?
I mean, like you're saying, I think she likes it. I mean, I told her the last time she went back to him, I said, if something happens to you, I'm just going to think of it as something that you wanted. I'm going to think of that as your wish, and not as something that was done to you. you know,
Okay, we're back with the laughing, right? I mean, you're talking
I'm
about your
sorry.
mother's
I'm
death
sorry.
wish. We can't be laughing about that, right?
Yeah. It's
Okay,
not
so
funny. I know.
I don't know. I don't know how women sweet talk the judge. I think that's probably just bullshit. But maybe she refused to testify or press charges, or I mean, I guess it's out of her hands at that point. But if she refuses to testify, maybe I guess she could be subpoenaed. I'm not a lawyer or anything like that, but it's doubtful that she just batted her eyelids at the judge and got the sentence reduced.
Yeah, I don't. It's been 15 years or so, so I don't
Yeah.
remember exactly.
Okay, so he's in jail for a couple of months. He comes out. He's on probation for 5 years, and she takes him back.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the idea that she didn't know anything about your father's criminality when she got together with him, I think we can dismiss as an outright lie, because now she knows about this guy's criminality. In fact, it's directed against her, and he's welcome in her bed.
Yeah.
And is she violent as well?
No, I mean, she's fought back against him pretty pretty often. I mean, she's knocked his teeth out. She knocked a tooth out one time.
And
She
how do
smashed
you
the coffee
know?
pot on his head.
Sorry, how do you know that that's fighting back? Are there times when she is violent herself?
I mean, I'm just going off what she told me.
Well, no, but you
Um,
were there, right? I
I
mean, you witnessed some of it. Did she ever pick fights?
She most of the time things got started when she was really worried about him cheating on her. She was she didn't think anything. Okay, I laughed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. She didn't think anything of the violence. She was really worried about the. She was really worried that he would cheat on her. And so what this would last all day. She would say she would accuse him of things, and things would escalate between them until at a certain point it would just
Okay, so
be
she's picking fights. Sometimes you're cheating on me. You were with that whore, or whatever it is, right? I checked your phone, like so. She's
right.
picking fights to some degree, right?
Right.
Okay, got it. And does she have any substance abuse issues?
No, no. As far as I know, I mean, she's just all she does is she smokes. That's all.
Okay. And is she? You said she got her university degree. Did she end up working in that field, or?
Yeah, she has two bachelor's degrees and a master's degree, and she works. She's a psychiatric nurse.
Oh, oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to the all nurses are crazy kind of cliche, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that a psychiatric nurse who's supposed to be an expert on mental health is in this kind of mess. But okay, and obviously she's very intelligent, and it's just such a trashy life. But all right.
Yeah.
And what's your relationship with your parents at the moment?
I'm not very close with them.
No,
I
but you still have a relationship, right?
I do.
Okay.
I see them maybe once or twice a month, and
Okay. And why do you see them?
well, well, actually, I see my mom and my stepfather that I was just talking about. I see them once or twice a month, usually.
Sorry, you.
Um,
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hang on, hang on. You hang out with the guy who almost killed your mother? What the
I
fuck?
don't. It's
No,
not
no, no.
pleasant. It's not.
Help me understand.
Uh,
My jaw is on the floor here. Like, help me fucking understand this.
yeah. I, for her sake, because she still wants to be with him. I mean,
For her sake.
well,
For
not.
her sake. What about your moral judgment?
I think at a certain point, I just said, I don't care whatever she's doing. I just want to be able to visit her, and so I just sort of turn a blind eye to whatever is going on.
Okay.
Um, but I've just, I'll take my son to visit her, and now my dad, you'll like this even more. My dad
My dad, I
visits
will.
us. My dad actually, he visits several times a week. He'll visit us at our house, and he he takes a lot of interest in my son's life compared to mine and my brother's. He's actually babysitted a few times, and
What?
at this point in his life, he's now like he's 60. At this point in his life, he's I trust him because he's just he's cleaned up a lot compared to when he was younger, and he's very he's just a more mellow person. So um, that's how things are at the moment.
Sorry, I thought you said you weren't close to them, but your father visits several times a week. I'm trying to square that circle.
I was thinking about my mom and stepfather. I'm not close to them,
Well, you still visit
but
them once or twice a month,
uh,
right?
yeah,
And do they
I
come to
guess
visit you,
compared
or?
to rarely.
Okay.
Well,
And
yeah,
did your father ever get? Is he remarried, or did he stay single, or?
he's dated, but yeah, he stayed single.
Okay. Okay. And does he work? Does he still run the car lot, or?
Yes, he still runs car lot. It's been He's had a very successful career with the car lot.
Okay. And he never got. Did he ever go back to his life of crime, to your knowledge?
No, not to my knowledge.
Ah, so he could stop. He just didn't
He's
stop until he was told to stop. He didn't stop for his wife and kids, but he stopped when the government got mad.
yeah,
Okay. So that's his
yeah.
incentive. All right.
He's somebody that he's one of the few people I've seen who can quit. I mean, he'll quit addictions. He's quit cigarettes and just never went back to them. He quit. He had to quit meth, obviously, because he was facing 20, 30 years in jail. But,
Okay. And of course, if he informed, which it would be likely, I would assume, then that puts his family in danger too. All right. Okay. All right. And what does Sue, your wife, you're married, right? Is that right?
right.
Yeah. So what does Sue think of your family?
She's she didn't realize at first what she was getting into, but
No,
she
no, no. Don't get passive on me, bro. What did you tell her? Which means she didn't realize. Did you tell her?
oh yeah, I didn't I don't think I revealed everything to her at once. But she
Okay,
for
that's a false
me
standard
revealed
because I that's a false standard. So just give me the facts. When did you tell her about your family's history in general?
I'd say it's probably a couple months after she had moved in,
So before that,
and
she thought you'd had a good childhood.
I don't think I'd really said anything about. I don't think I'd really said much about my childhood or anything to her.
Okay,
Um,
so and how long after you guys met did she get pregnant?
I believe it was 8 months.
Okay, so she already knew about your family's history with, and she's having unprotected sex with you.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And what does she think of them now?
She, well, they've always been very nice to her. They've always been very good to her. So she
But
likes
that's
them.
worse.
She,
No, that's worse. Because if they were bad to you, but good to her, that's even worse. Because it means they know how to be nice. They just didn't do it with you.
yeah. And she's told me that they were not good, that they were not good parents. So she acknowledges that, but I guess just because they're nice to her, she's good to them. So
Okay. All right. And how do you guys, is she working? How do you guys get your income? I mean, you've got your disability, I guess.
uh, yeah, she works at a retail store, and that's where she's always worked in retail.
Okay. And you stay home with your son, is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
I've
So,
done that.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I've done that since he was born. I've tried tried to be different than my dad. Not the greatest father, but I try to be good.
Okay. And do you have any plans or goals, do you think, over the course of your life to get a job?
I actually this past over the past year I went to CDL school. Um,
I don't know
I
what that is.
was
Sorry.
very to drive commercially, drive 18 wheelers, that sort of thing.
Sorry,
Um,
how's that going to fit into you being a father?
what I was hoping is that I could become a full time. I could eventually work full time, and she could watch it most of the time. I was hoping
No, but I mean,
to
I'm
move into
not an
that.
expert on trucking, but it's a lot of time away from home, isn't it? I've talked to the wives of truckers before.
Right. I was hoping to do something that wasn't as intense, like driving a box truck, which is still commercial driving. I was hoping to do something that was more local and not as many long hours.
Okay.
So I got my license. I spent a long time at that. I got my license. Um, but what I didn't realize, everybody else but me seemed to realize this, was that I can't navigate my way out of a paper bag.
Well, you said you had vision issues too, right? Is that, I mean, I assume you can correct that.
Yes, I was able to get a vision waiver that allowed me to pursue the license.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but what I found out during the schooling, what I started to find out was that two things. I'm so forgetful to the point that I put myself and others in danger, and also that I cannot navigate. I can barely get from my town to the nearest town.
Well, but that must have come up at some point. You said you were being taught to drive by Sue, right? Your wife?
Yes,
So you must
yes.
have noticed that, right? That you had trouble with navigation and forgetfulness.
It it just never occurred to me.
Sorry, I'm not sure what you
And
mean. So you mean you never noticed that you weren't able to navigate? I'm sorry, I'm a little confused.
I think I think I was just thinking of driving as one whole thing, one group of skills, and that I would be able to overcome any problems I had with more training or with school.
I mean,
And
so was this was taxpayer funded, I assume, right?
yes, yes, it was through something called vocational rehab.
Right. I mean, you've taken a lot of money from the taxpayer over the years, right?
Yes, I have.
I
And
mean,
my intent with this, my
sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. And my intent with this, my sincere intent was to get off of disability and be the full-time breadwinner for my family, because I felt this was something that I would it would be meaningful for me as a career, for something that I liked. And
Sorry, you mean you
so to
like
me it
driving?
seemed, yes, yes,
Okay.
it's a very solitary activity, and in my mind it was okay, this could bring us in a lot of money, and this is something I could do as a career. So to me it was a way of getting off disability, and also doing something that I felt would be more personally meaningful.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
But it's not working out, right? I mean, is it fair to say that it's not a responsible thing for you to do to drive trucks?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so when did you realize that?
I would, I think it was really as I started applying to jobs after I graduated the trucking school. Um, it really started to hit home that I had some faults that I might not be able to overcome, that might seriously really jeopardize everybody's well-being.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if I could lose I mean, not just people
No, no,
dying, but
listen, I understand. I understand. Yeah, but not being able to drive a truck is bad if you're driving a truck. I get that. And so how long
yeah,
ago did you realize that?
this has been, I would say, about 3 months.
And how long was the course
3 months.
overall?
It was originally it's supposed to be a month.
Oh, wow. I didn't know you could
Or
learn to drive a truck in a month. That's cool. Okay. All right. So
but
it
for
was
me,
originally supposed to be. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was there for 7 months.
Oh,
They let me come back because I really enjoyed doing it,
well, they're getting
and
paid
I
by the
really
government,
wanted
right?
to.
So they're fine. They're fine. They're not paid by you being a truck driver. They're paid by you studying truck driving.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So to I was determined to show that I could do it, but it took me a long
But
time.
when did you first suspect that you couldn't do it?
I think it was really toward the end. Um, I'd started trying to apply to jobs before I got the license, and I don't know why. For some reason, it never occurred to me that there were certain weaknesses I wouldn't be able to overcome.
The weaknesses in the driving, you mean?
Yes,
Okay. All right. So, do you have any other? I mean, so I was asking if you have plans to be employed. You're telling me about something that didn't work out. What about the future?
I asked my family for advice, and I asked my
Sorry,
wife for
hang on.
advice.
You asked your mom and dad for advice?
Yeah, I did,
Okay.
and they they told me that I was better off, that my family would be better off if I stayed on disability, that I would be better off also.
Okay. All right.
And
So, sorry. So how, we've talked for over an hour, which I appreciate, and it's a great update, and I'm glad to get to know you. And let's make sure that we spend the next little while working on how I can best help you. So, was there a particular impetus for the call today?
I really just asking you for advice. Where would you what would you do in my situation?
Well,
I know
no.
what
See,
you would
that's
do.
I don't. How long have you listened to what I do?
I know what you would do, but you
No, no. Hang on. That's not. I asked a
okay?
question, right? How long have you listened to what I do?
Mhm. Long time.
How long have you listened to what I do?
I would say it's been about 13 or 14 years.
Okay, got it. Got it. All right. So, what is it that was the impetus for this call in particular? If it's been 13 or 14 years,
That I have sort of panicked at my situation in life.
right? So let's get to
It's a
that. This is
situation.
because you said in your message, right? Let me just pull it up here. I'm not trying to catch you out, right? Obviously, I just want to make sure I understand. Um, but you said I'm X years old. I've been married for 3 years and have a 3-year-old son. I'm on disability and spent the first 32 years of my life as a loner. As a strong introvert, I've struggled to adjust to married life and have had a number of nervous breakdowns. I love my wife and son dearly, but continue to struggle with merely taking care of myself, including mental health, diet, hygiene, and overall purpose in life. Just that still applies, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we need to talk about that, not some generic. What would you do if you were me? Because this needs to be more specific,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Okay, so what do you mean? And I'm not sure what people mean by nervous breakdowns because it's not like a clinical term that I know of. So what do you mean by what is a
It
mental breakdown for you?
for me, it's I've had several of these where I am in such a bad mental state I can't motivate myself to do to. I mean, I could get out of bed a few times, but I can barely function. It feels similar to if you've not eaten for a long if you're in starvation mode and you can't move your body. I mean, it's sort of the mental version of that.
I don't follow. What's the feeling?
It's absolute despair.
Okay, absolute despair. Okay, so what are the thoughts around that despair?
It's a feeling. It's a thoughts and feelings that this is sort of the end of the line for. It feels like the end of the line for my life or for my. Um, I don't know. That's the best way to explain it. It's I can't really describe it. It's like the worst feeling you can feel.
Okay, so help me understand end of the line. What does that mean?
It feels like my whole life is about to unravel or that it's already unraveled and suicidal thoughts come in or suicidal ideation and feeling better off dead.
Okay, and so better
Um,
off dead. And obviously, I need to do this every time this comes up. But obviously, well, I would ask you for a commitment that you'll call a helpline or get in touch with a psychologist or a specialist or go to ER if you're feeling suicidal. I just need that promise from you, if that's all right.
yes,
Okay, you will. You promise that?
yes,
Okay,
and
thank you.
I do go to therapy regularly.
Okay, good,
Yeah,
good. All right, so life is about to unravel, and what does unraveling mean to you?
I would say anything that I care about will be gone, or it's a combination of anything I care about will be gone, or is going away in the process of going away, and that I am just a completely uh, worthless person, a completely hated person, and
Sorry, but hated by who? I mean, you live a pretty
uh,
solitary life outside of your wife and parents, I think. So, what is who hates you? Is it your wife and parents?
yes, or my wife and uh, her parents, or anybody, my parents.
Okay, so like
Um,
everybody, it's not some generic like the crowd or abstract. It's like the people in your life you perceive they hate you, right?
yes,
Okay, so you feel like the everything that you care about is going to slip away. That people don't respect you, or they might hate you, or something like that. Does that make sense?
yes. I mean, like even during the truck driving school, I felt if I didn't finish that, that I would just have no respect ever from my wife or in-laws or even my family.
Well, but that's not. I mean, it would have made more sense to quit early because you just wasted a lot of time and money on something that you pursued for 7 months that you can't do, right?
Right,
I mean, quitting when you can't do something, quitting makes sense, right?
right.
Okay.
I think it probably had something to do with me quitting high school. I didn't want to feel like a failure again.
Sorry, I wasn't aware that you'd quit high school unless you mentioned it and I missed it. Sorry about that. Okay, so you quit high school, but also, I mean, your father was arrested. Your parents were splitting up. It was catastrophic time, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. So you've listened to me for close on a decade and a half. So what do you think my analysis would be of your feelings? Let's activate inner Steph, right? So or philosophy guy, right? So what do you think my
Right.
analysis would be of why you feel that love might leave you?
Because I don't have a good example of that. That I never had a good example of that in my life,
Nope,
and
nope,
that
nope, 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 nope. I didn't have a good example of that, and lots of people didn't. They don't necessarily go through these feelings. So, I mean, that's not unrelated, but why do you think it's happening in the present, right? So why do you think you feel that love and respect might leave your life? What do you think my analysis would be? Because if it was because of your past, then it can't be changed, right? Because we can't change the past.
all right.
Like if you were born in Africa and I said, I can fix that, I can change that, I mean, that would be crazy, right? I can't change where you were born. So the past is irrevocable. And so if we're going to look for change, it has to be something in the present, right? So what in
Right.
the present is causing you to be anxious that love might leave you?
I'm not sure. I'm really
Okay.
not sure.
Do you know what my definition, or do you remember? Sorry, I know this sounds like a quiz or a test. It's not that. I'm just curious. What's my definition of
Yeah.
love, which I think is the definition of love?
Uh, I believe it's like I was saying, self-sacrifice.
Nope. I mean, terrorists blow themselves up all the time. That's self-sacrifice. What is it?
Yeah. Caring about another more than you do yourself.
Nope. That can also be codependence, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I don't remember.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, it's not like it's not a test you had to prepare for. So love is our involuntary response to virtue if we're virtuous.
Mhm.
So tell me, and I'm not saying this because I don't think you have them. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Tell me your virtues. What are you doing in life that is virtuous?
Trying to take care of people, trying to ensure the well-being of others, trying to make others' lives better
Well, but you're not
than they were.
succeeding hugely in that if you can't get out of bed sometimes, right?
Right.
So
Right.
what not the intention, but what are the things that you manifest in the world that you don't, it doesn't have to be what I would consider virtuous, but what do you consider virtuous that you're doing?
I would. That's really the best way I could say it. I'm trying to create a sense of stability for my loved ones.
Yeah, but that's not working out as well as you want, right?
Right.
So out of any given month, how many days are you somewhat disabled mentally?
I would say 2 or 3 days.
2 or 3 days, okay. And what about the rest of the time?
The rest of the time, I work as hard as I can. I take care of course, my son, and I do all the inside and outside work on the housework, and pay all the bills and everything.
Ah, okay,
I do
okay,
everything I can.
all right. So you do work hard.
Yes, I do whatever I can. Yeah.
I'm not sure what whatever I can means, but it sounds like you're saying you work around the house, you take care of your son, you do the inside and outside stuff, you pay the bills, right? So you're running the household, right?
Yes. Hmm.
You're parenting and running the household, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's good. That's good. And obviously I'm not complaining about that or saying that's not good. But do you believe that that falls into the category? And it's funny because, when I ask this question, it sounds like I don't believe you're virtuous, and I don't believe that. I fully accept that there are things that you're doing that you would define as virtuous. I just need to know what they are. So virtue is like moral courage and honesty and integrity to rational values and things like that. And working to take care of the house, that's good, but that's practical, right?
Hmm.
So anything you can pay people to do, I can pay people to clean my house. So if I clean my house, that's not specifically virtuous. I can But I can't pay someone to be someone my wife loves. I can't pay someone to act with integrity and honesty and moral courage for me, right? So the stuff, if you can pay someone to, it's just a general rule of thumb. If you can pay someone to do it, it's usually not in the category of virtue, if that makes sense. So
Yes, that's true.
let me ask you another way. What are the virtues that your wife loves in you or admires in you?
I would say that I have a moral code, that I am very decisive, that I know who I am, that I'm not abusive, that I give her attention, and that there's some kind of stability with me, I guess.
Okay, so I mean, not being abusive is not exactly the same as being virtuous, which is, I mean, it's sort of a bare minimum thing. So, um, you said you have a moral code, and I'm not disagreeing with you, of course, but help me understand, what is that moral code?
I I am I consider myself to be a Catholic. I very
Sorry,
I
I'm so sorry. You consider yourself to be Catholic. But this
I
came
try to
about.
live.
Sorry, but this came about after you moved in with your girlfriend, right?
Yes, in some sense, I already had a lot of these values, but this sort of codified it for me. And so I would guess she respects the very clear cut moral code that I have in pretty much most areas. I mean,
Okay,
I
so help me
before
just sorry, help me understand how that moral code manifests in your life. And again, I'm not saying you don't have it or not doing it, but this is just a new part of the conversation. I sort of need to map this area because the good thing about integrity is and virtue is it gives us confidence in being loved. And so my concern, to be honest, I'm not trying to play any games here. If you feel like all the good things and all the moral things and all the love in your life is going to slip away, I would assume it's because you have doubts about how virtuous you are. Because if you are certain about your virtues and your strength and your courage and your integrity and your honesty and all these kinds of things, if you're certain about these things, then you can be certain that you're worthy of love. Because love is our response to virtue. And if we are certain that we are virtuous, then we are certain that we are worthy of love. Does that make sense?
yes, but I would say that my a lot of my uncertainty comes from back when I was learning, when I was watching all those videos about the nature of women, and my understanding, and it seems, I mean, this seems to empirically be the case, that most women, at least at the present moment, seem to be. I mean, it seems to be like a Marxist's dream, where most women seem to be completely motivated by resources entirely.
Well, women
But of
are
course, as
motivated
human
by
beings, we're not.
resources. Of course they are. That's why we're all here. If women weren't motivated by resources, we'd all starve to death. So, of course, women are motivated by resources. But what's wrong with that?
Well, I mean, entirely. Like say that, like the Marxist argument that all human actions are motivated by the desire for resources.
So, wait, hang
Um,
on. So, you're saying that women are motivated by resources. Therefore, what? All women are gold digging predators? Is that the idea?
no, but it seemed to me unlikely that there would be somebody who wasn't. It seemed unlikely to me that I would run into somebody who wasn't
Yes,
that
but
way.
but sorry, now I'm confused because you're married to Sue. You've been married for 3 years. She's the mother of your son. So why are we talking about women in the abstract or in general or on red pill videos?
Because I think that's where a lot of my uncertainty
No, no,
comes
no,
from.
no, no. Because you found the woman. You said she's special. She's sweet. She's great, right? And
Right,
do you think she's with you for your disability checks, or I mean, help me understand? Like, we're not talking about women in the abstract because you're married to Sue in the particular, right?
right.
Okay, so let's not talk about women in the abstract because you're having these anxiety issues or depression issues or um, despair issues in the present, right? So it's not
Right.
women in the abstract because you already chose Sue in the particular, right?
Yeah. I guess you could say that I have trouble realizing that she is a particular person, an individual. that she
hang
is
on. Sorry, that's very abstract. I don't really know what that means. You have trouble. You have trouble realizing that she's an individual.
I have trouble realizing she's the person that I have witnessed that both she says she is and that I've witnessed. Um, it
I still don't understand what that means. Sorry.
Yeah.
But explain it to me like I'm your son.
It seems to me from everything I've observed that it's hard to find. It's almost impossible to find a person like Sue.
Okay, but you found her and you're married to her and you've known her for years and she's the mother of your child. So what is going on? Like, why? If you're saying, well, Sue is very unusual, well, yeah, okay. Let's say women are materialistic and Sue is spiritual or whatever it is, right? Okay, so but why would the issues continue if you accept that she is these things and is different?
I think it's been difficult for me to accept that is true, but it's not. Let's say that she doesn't change. That it's a fear I think a lot of people have when they get in a relationship that the other person will change or reveal their true self, I guess.
But a lot of that's based on your mother's bullshit, to be frank. A lot of that is based on your mom putting this fucking worm in your ear about how, oh, your father, he was great, and then he just changed. That's just to cover up her own complicity in his criminality, isn't it?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you got to watch out for people who give you this brainworm of, oh, they're just changing, right? But that's how they cover up, right?
All right.
That's how she's covering up her
my
fetish,
wife,
if that's what she has. Sorry, go ahead.
And to be fair, my wife she said the same thing about me. She assumed that I would change, or that I would reveal myself to be something totally different.
Uh-huh.
And she had to remind me, because I've discussed this with her about what seems to be the general nature of women and that she seems to be unique. And she reminded me, she said, well, men are drawn by youth and beauty, but she was telling me, she said, well, but you said you didn't, that's not what drew you to me. I said, that's right. I was drawn by her kindness, just her warmth as a human being. And so I have had to remind myself that she also thinks that about me. She has doubts about me, and that maybe we're both kind of unique. That it is possible for a person to be unique in this world.
Okay. So describe to me, if you would, Sue's virtues.
She has a loyalty to everybody that is in her family. Her mother, her sister.
That's absolutely not a virtue. I can't give you that even 1%. Loyalty to family is not a virtue. I mean, what if her family were criminals?
All right.
So no, loyalty to family, that's just tribalism. That's just imprinting. That's not a virtue, right? I mean, come on, Mr. Catholic, what did Jesus say about what religion was going to do to families?
Tear parents from children. Yes.
Yeah, that virtue sets family against family. I have come to set son against father, and so let me ask you this: are Sue's parents Catholics?
No.
Are they religious?
No, they are Christians. Yes.
Okay, are they real Christians or are they Sunday Christians?
They are real Christians. They are.
Okay, they're real Christians. All right. So if they're real Christians, why is her whole family real Christians?
Yes.
Okay. So if her whole family are real Christians, why is her sister a single mother with 2 children by an absent father shacking up with some new guy who turns her against her own flesh and blood? How is that Christian? Maybe I'm missing something.
Well, they were raised by a single mother. Because
that doesn't answer anything. They're Christians. Is that Christian?
No, it's not.
Okay. So have they acknowledged that was a grave sin?
The sister has not acknowledged that, no.
Okay. So she is an unrepentant sinner in this area, in that she is living together without marriage to a guy who's mean to her sister when her sister is very nice, and she sides with her boy toy rather than her flesh and blood. She sides with the bad guy against the good sister. And was she married to the father of her children?
Yes.
Okay.
She's married for, I think, about 10 years. Yeah.
Okay. And is he still in their life?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So she left the father of her children to be with a pretty bad guy, right?
Right.
Is that Christian?
No, it's not.
Okay. So
And
is this a topic within the family that this is a woman who's perhaps heading towards hell who needs to repent and apologize?
I don't, oddly, her parents haven't said anything about it. Haven't put it that way.
Sorry, I'm not putting it some way. And again, I'm not an expert, but I would think that's kind of Christian, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And
Okay. So are they Christians or is it mostly just noise?
I think it's mostly noise on the
Okay.
part of.
Let me ask you this. Are your
Yeah.
parents religious?
They are not.
Okay.
My mother never has been. No, never has been. My dad is what you would call a Sunday Christian. So yeah.
Okay. So have they sat down with you and said, regarding our grandchildren, we're concerned that you have atheists, agnostics, and ex-criminals around our grandchildren. We kind of need to sort this out.
They have not. They, oddly enough, they have more of a problem about Catholicism than atheism.
Okay.
It's very strange.
And do they have more of a problem with Catholicism than your father's criminal history?
It would seem so.
Okay, so
Yeah.
they don't, as far as I can see, they don't have much integrity about their beliefs.
Right.
Okay, and you are a staunch Catholic, right?
I don't attend regularly.
You listed it as one of your virtues. Hang on, you listed it as one of your virtues.
It's part. I sort of, it's a daily part of my life. I'm not. I don't attend.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But
Regularly.
you believe, right?
Yes.
Okay. Are your parents going to hell?
Possibly.
According to Catholic doctrine.
And I know they kind of extended the definition of. They sort of extended the definition of that back at the Second Vatican Council. So in the 60s. So I mean, as long as they're Christians, as long as they're believers, there's a possibility of heaven.
Well, sure, but they have to be real believers, not just Sunday Christians. They actually have to live the faith.
Right.
They can't just say, I'm a believer and get to heaven, right? There's no get out of jail free card that way, right? There's no cheating the system.
Right.
Okay, so your parents are not believers? Your mother's not, and your father is mostly just pretending, right?
Right.
Okay, so let's do this one.
Thing.
Is your mother going to hell as a non-believer?
I'd say it's a good possibility.
Okay, under what theory would she not be going to hell? She married 2 criminals, defended 1 criminal, and continues to live with him. And she has no faith in Jesus. So she's done some significant immoralities, if not downright evils. As far as I understand, she's not repented because she's still with the guy. She is dedicated to a life of sin and violence. At least I don't know if the violence is still going on. So under what theory? And listen, I'm happy to be educated on this because again, I'm not an expert. But under what theory would she not be going to hell?
I mean, yeah, she would definitely, if she's if she's not sincerely repentant, then she would go to hell.
Okay, so hang on.
I think that's.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think it's a common attitude today among people who claim to be Christians is they really sort of have a very vague faith where they kind of see it as a self-help motivational speaker.
No, I'm not
thing,
talking about abstract. I don't want to get. I know, Mr. Intellectual. I don't want to get drawn into abstract discussions because we've been talking for 2 hours, right? So we got to get to some traction. Okay. We got to get some wheels on the ground here. Okay, so if your mother has a heart attack, an aneurysm, or gets hit by a bus tomorrow, she's going to eternal hellfire, right?
Right.
So why are you letting that happen? If you believe, and you do believe, it's one of your virtues, right?
Yes, and I've tried to speak with all of my family members in some way. It's particularly with my mom, it's difficult because everyone has a worldview, and sometimes it takes a lot of work to get through, to chisel through that worldview and say,
No, but why would she change? She gets all the
yeah,
benefits of being a good mother because she can come over, or you can go see her, and your father can come over several times a week. So they're getting all the benefits of being good parents without actually having to. I mean, have you had the conversation that I've recommended for 20 years about here's what's went wrong in my childhood, and here's where you guys were at fault, and I'm going to need some apologies and restitution. And like, have they admitted fault? Have they atoned? Have they made restitution? Have like maybe gone to therapy, figured out their issues? Like, what's happened if you've had that conversation? What happened, and if not, which is fine. You don't have to have the conversation, but then I just know you haven't listened to my advice for 15 years or 14 years. So I'm not sure why you'd start now.
I have, my dad has sincerely apologized for things that he's done, and he's admitted things that he's done. And I think that's why I'm closer to him now, why I'm more open to him coming over and visiting.
And so when
But
did that
my
happen? And
mom,
what? Sorry, hang on. When did that happen? And tell me a little bit about that.
um, several years after my mom got with my stepdad, I started speaking to my dad again, and me and him had a lot of long talks about what had went on, and he slowly started to see not necessarily the damage he caused outside the family, but the damage that he caused inside the family. And
And sorry, how old were you and how
he's
old was
tried.
him?
I was in my early 20s when me and him started talking. And so he slowly, from that point, he started trying to be more in our lives. And I appreciated that. And he's very much in my son's life now. And I'm happy about that.
Okay, so he admitted the evil that he did and the harm that he caused to you and your mother, but not within the community, right?
Right.
Okay. And you said sincere apologies. Any restitution?
No. Or wait, can you? I don't know the definition of that.
Oh, sorry. Restitution is maybe pay for some therapy or something which is more than just sorry. Let's move on. Like if I
No,
borrow
no.
your car and I ding your car and I say sorry but hand you the car back, you'd say, hey, that sorry is nice, but could you also fix the car, right? Need to do something
Right.
practical to repair what's been done rather than just say sorry.
I think I mean, he's tried to help me a lot now that I'm older. He's helped me in anything I've needed. Um, he helped me with buying this house, and he's given us money sometimes when we needed it, and he's tried to be a part of my son's life.
Okay,
So
so
to
and
me,
and
I feel like that's
I
restitution.
appreciate that, and I don't want to wave that away like that's nothing, and that's nice. But if you started talking to him in your early 20s, why was it still 10 years before you even thought of really having a relationship if things got resolved or solved?
I think it took me a long time to it took me a long time to heal from things.
Okay,
I was just I was determined to stay alone. I was pretty dead set on that.
okay. And did your mental health improve after having some resolution with your father?
It did somewhat. I still dealt with my, I still dealt quite a bit with my mother and stepfather for years after that. And, I mean, a lot of it was my own fault in that I kept myself involved with them. I, I could have ignored it, but I kept helping them.
What do you mean by helping them?
I mean, there were times, I know this is terrible, but there were times where, they had split up and I thought she, well, he asked me for a place to stay and I let him stay with me, which I know is terrible, but he was the only person outside of my immediate family that I'd ever been close to, in any way. I didn't have any friends
Sorry,
growing up or
close to?
anything.
What do
So
you mean
he was
close
sort of,
to? Guy's a
well, he was
violent
like the
thug who
only
almost
real,
kills. Guy's a violent thug who almost killed your mother. What do you mean close to?
I'd never, at the same time, I had sort of become sort of a friend. And because I never had any friends growing up. So in a
Well,
way,
but
he was
but
the
but
only
that's
person.
but that's your parents' fault. And if
Yeah.
you hang around with violent thugs who almost killed your mother, that's going to keep good people out of your life.
Yeah.
You don't get to join a criminal gang and the church choir on the same day, right?
Right.
Okay, and so he's still in your life. You gave him food and shelter and succor and all of that, and then they got back together and so on, right?
Right.
And you're still breaking bread with the guy, and you see him and your mother once or twice a month.
Yes.
Is that part of the virtue that you're talking about, or is it something different?
It's something different, I would say. It's
Have you had the conversation with your mother and your stepfather about how awful your childhood was and their not just role in it, but their creation of that, or at least your mother's for sure?
yes. I've tried to talk with my mom about it. She gets very defensive. It's not something that I haven't tried that very often because she won't hear it.
Okay. So
Yeah.
she's continuing to choose her own benefit over what's healthy for you. So she has a direct role,
Yes.
in my view, she has a direct role in your mental health issues because she's still selfishly choosing what's best for her at your expense. She's denying you the truth and apologies and validation. She's denying you all of that because she just doesn't want to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
So is it fair
Yeah.
to say that she's
So
not exactly helping your mental health?
yeah, she wasn't. And I think
No, she's still not.
me being married.
Because she's still denying stuff and you
Yeah.
still can't have these conversations.
Yeah, that's true. She is.
Okay, so
But I mean, one
I'm not,
good thing
hang on,
about me being
hang
married.
on. You've had a lot of talking, right? So if you choose to be around corrupt people who deny their abuses towards you, then you're choosing, in my view, you're choosing mental instability. It's like a guy calling
Yeah.
me up and saying, my hand keeps hurting. Oh, why does your hand keep hurting? Well, I keep hitting with it a hammer. Well, if you choose to hit your hand with a hammer, it's going to hurt. If you choose to be around your mother who's still in denial and who's still with the guy who tried to kill her, that's going to fuck you up deep down, right?
All right.
I mean, help me understand where the mystery is here. And if you continue to hang around corrupt people, does that enhance or diminish other people's love and respect for you?
It diminishes, definitely.
Right. Your father, the ex-meth dealer and thief, is more honest and apologetic than your mother. It seems like he's become a better person. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it seems like he's become a better and more honest person than your mother.
Yes.
Okay. So why? And yeah, I'm happy to hear the case. But why is your mother in your life if she has never accepted that she did wrong or apologized? Because it's not Christian, right? If somebody's done you wrong, right, you know this as well as I do, right? If someone's done you wrong, what does the Bible says? Is talk to them privately if they don't admit fault. Talk to them with a few people. If they still don't admit fault, talk to them with the whole congregation. If they still don't admit fault, what do?
You cut them out.
Yeah, you cut them off, right?
Right.
Okay, so you're a Christian. You're a Christian. This is what God says is the right thing to do, but you know better. I mean, that's some arrogance, bro. I mean, if I believed in an almighty, infallible God, and He gave me these instructions, and I said, "No, I know better. I don't need those," I'd be like, I don't know about that, bro. Be like getting a kitchen cabinet and putting it together, saying, "Oh, I don't need these instructions. I'll just make it up as I go along."
Yeah, I could set something up to talk with her about it. I could try again to talk to her.
No, this is not a try. Okay, let's do this, right? You pretend to be your mom. I'll pretend to be you, okay?
Okay.
All right. Mom, we got to talk. I'm glad that we have some time, some privacy. We got to talk about my childhood because it was a complete mess. I mean, it was really a horror show. And you were kind of front and center on that. And I've had this conversation with Dad, actually, gosh, about 10 years ago. I've tried to have it with you. And I'm going to have this conversation again. And I really need to have this conversation. Like, this is not optional. This is not a maybe. I really need to have this conversation because, as you know, I'm still struggling with my mental health. So, yeah, we need to talk about what went on in my childhood. That was really bad.
She would tell me,
No, just be here.
well, I always did my best for you. I was working. I was going to school. I was trying to take care of you some, but your dad wasn't pitching in. Your dad was sleeping. Your dad wasn't being a good husband. So I did the best I could for you, and you know I love you. That's more or less
So
what
are
she
you
said.
saying that I have no? Are you saying that I wouldn't have any valid complaints about my childhood?
Well, of course you do, but you know we all loved you. We know, you know
Okay,
we all
that's
did our
okay.
best
I
for
don't
you.
want the sentimentality. I just want the facts, right? So what
I
are the valid complaints that I would have about my childhood?
believe she would say, I believe she would say really what a lot of women say, a lot of single mothers. She would say,
Well, no, she wasn't a single mother.
I mean, it was a similar,
Okay, but what would she say? What would she say if I said, because she says, I love you, right? Which means she must have a theory of mind that includes you, right? I can't
yeah,
say, if I'm shown a picture of some Japanese person and say, do you love them? It's like, I don't know. I mean, they're Japanese. I don't know if they're good or bad. I don't speak Japanese. I don't know what they think. So in order to love someone, you have to have a theory of mind that includes them, that you have to understand something about them, right? And she was
right,
around for your whole childhood. So this is a test in a way if she has any empathy or she has the capacity to fathom somebody else's thoughts. Does that make sense?
yes,
So, and it's also, does she understand you at all, right? Because she can see, like, okay, let me ask you this, because I don't think the role play will work. But what is your mother's theory as to why you've had these pretty crippling mental health issues? What is her belief as to why that happened? Is it all your dad or what?
yeah. I think she blames a lot of it on him.
Okay.
She
Now she was with him for 18 years. Does she take any responsibility for staying with him?
No, she kind of dodges the question when I ask her
Okay.
about that.
Right. Okay. So she lies.
Yeah,
She lies, she dodges, she avoids, she gaslights, she blames, she won't take responsibility, right?
all right.
Okay. So why is she in your life?
I think, I mean, not just, you know, the feelings I had for her when I was younger are still there, but she's she's still she's still connected to other members of my family. Like her and my dad still communicate. Her and my brother goes over there a lot more than I do. So she's very much connected to everybody else.
Yeah, but that's only because you don't tell her the truth about your thoughts and feelings. Because if you do tell her the truth about your thoughts and feelings, Mom, I'm still filled with so much despair, I feel suicidal. And I don't know I mean, that has to have something to do with my childhood because it started in my childhood
Yeah,
when you were still in control. So the only reason, as far as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, but the only way that you get to have a relationship with your mother is if you withhold what you think and feel. I mean, does she know about your continued, can't get out of bed a couple of times a month?
yeah, she knows
Okay.
about that.
And what's her theory about that? What does she think is the cause of that?
She just she says she always says, "Well, you were okay until you were about 16, and you've been this way ever since." She doesn't get into much detail about it.
Well, she doesn't get into any detail about it.
Yeah,
Okay. Now, if you were to say to your mother, the best way for me to get better is for you to take responsibility for the bad things you did and continue to do. Like she's still shacking up and giving sex to the guy who tried to kill her, right? According to what you said. Or,
right,
almost killed her with the broken ribs and stuff, right?
right.
Okay, so she's still acting in a pretty immoral fashion. And if you were to say, part of my despair comes from the fact that I've got a mother who is making terrible moral decisions and has in the past and refuses to admit them. So I need for you to take responsibility for the bad things you've done and continue to do in order for me to get better. What would she say? Would she do that? Would she take moral responsibility if it healed a good portion of your mental distress?
I don't think she would. I
I
think
don't
she
think she
would.
would either.
Yeah,
Okay, so she doesn't care about you really.
yeah. I think she's always had this attitude that that I can just sort of make it on my own. That
No, she has an attitude that you are perma-crippled through no fault
yeah,
of hers, to no responsibility of hers, nothing to do with her, that it's just, genetics and your dad or whatever, right?
right,
Okay, so you have a mother who thinks that you're crippled and it's permanent and it can't be fixed, right?
right.
Do you think that has an effect on your perception of yourself?
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, my wife has told me that if only I could have been raised by her mother. She said that her mother would have never wouldn't have taught me that I was being held back by anything. That no matter what, I would have still been pushed to do things.
Right. Okay. So you see the issue, right?
Right.
Your despair is that you think your mother might be right, if I understand this correctly. Because
Yeah.
if your mother's wrong, then
Yeah.
she's harming and crippling you, right?
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the price of being in a relationship with your mother is accepting her view that you were just foundationally broken and can't be fixed. And it's nothing to do with her. Do I have that right?
Yeah. That makes sense.
Okay. So choosing to have your mother in your life, in my view, is choosing to have this doom and despair. Because if your mother's right, then you can't be fixed. And that just means you're going to have to live like this for the next 50 fucking years, right?
Right.
But that's not fun. And if you're, let's say, and I'm not saying that this would be the case, right? Let's make it someone else. So there's Bob, right? Let's just make it Bob, right? So let's say Bob is suicidal, and the only way that Bob can be saved is for Bob's mother to accept responsibility for the wrongs she did to Bob as a child and also as an adult, right? Now, if Bob's mother would rather not accept responsibility, even though this means Bob might kill himself, that's murderous. In the same way that if some kid is dying and like they're choking to death, right? They got a fishbone or something stuck in their throat. And the parent knows the Heimlich maneuver, but just sits there and watches it. Is that murderous?
Yeah.
Right. So if you're suicidal and one of the things that would help give you relief is your mother taking responsibility and your mother won't do it, to me, that's murderous. That she'd rather you die than her admit fault. And then she literally will say to you, lie through her teeth and say, "But I love you." Well, love also means doing things that are uncomfortable that's beneficial to the other person, especially if it's honorable, right, and just. Sorry, go ahead.
And I think that goes back to what I was saying. I sincerely don't think she ever wanted kids, but
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
She decided to have them. She decided to keep them. She's still in your life. And now she's around her grandchild. So it doesn't matter. That's another excuse.
Yeah.
Can your mother have both a good and an evil man in her life?
What do you mean?
Well, can someone have a good friend in his life and also an evil friend in his life, and they all hang out together?
I think so, but somebody is going to be hiding themselves.
Nope. No, they can't. It's not possible. It's not possible. Now, I'll tell you why, because you don't believe me, and maybe you're right, but I'll tell you why. So, a good person, can you be a good person without being can you be a good person without being able to identify evil?
No.
No, that would be like saying, I'm a good doctor, but I have no capacity to identify illness. So being a good person means being able to identify evil. Now, does evil camouflage itself?
Yes, it can.
Of course, yeah. And the biggest camouflage is sentimentality, which is why I was objecting to your mother saying, "But I love you." Right? So to be a good person is to be able to identify evil and also know that evil camouflages. So if Bob has a good friend and an evil friend over for dinner, will the good friend get a sense that the evil person is not good?
Yes, I'd say so.
Right. Do good people want to hang out with evil people?
No, not generally, no.
Well, no, of course not. I mean, why would you? It's horrible. It's actually, I've been around some evil people. Of course, over the course, it makes your skin crawl. Like it's repulsive. It's hideous. It's like, the nails on the blackboard thing, but to your soul. So you cannot have a good friend and an evil friend and all hang out together, because the good friend will say, I do not want to spend any time with this other guy. I think he's a bad guy, and here's why. And there will be evidence, right? There's always evidence. If there was no evidence, then you'd have absolutely no idea that they were evil, right? There has to be evidence. So we can't read minds, right? And he'd say, well, this, and this, right? So if you can't have good people and evil people in your life, then having evil people in your life will keep the good people away, right?
Right.
So is your mother immoral? I would say evil, I know, is a strong term. She is still with the guy who you say almost killed her.
Right.
Is that corrupt and immoral?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That's. Yeah.
Has she accepted any responsibility for the bad choices and the corrupt choices and the immoral choices, which we've all made, right? I'm not trying to single her out in some giant spotlight like the rest of the world is in darkness. We've all made immoral choices. But has she accepted any responsibility for her bad choices?
No, she hasn't. Not really.
Hang on. No, she hasn't. Not really. Are two contradictory statements. If I say, do you have a
Occasionally,
dog in your house? And you say, no, not really. That's a little hard to follow, right?
occasionally she'll express regret for something that she did, but I don't know if it's sorry that it affected others or just sorry that it affected her life.
Okay, so but she hasn't taken responsibility for immoral choices she's made that have harmed others, right?
Right.
Okay. So what does your faith tell you? What does Catholicism tell you about people who sin and don't take any responsibility for their sin? Don't even acknowledge or admit that they've sinned.
They can't be forgiven.
Right.
They will go to hell. Yes.
Okay. So your mother, I mean, your father has done some stuff to earn your forgiveness, whatever, right? I mean, I don't think it's ideal, but it's, certainly better than nothing. But your mother has done nothing, right?
Right.
Right. So the question is, and this comes down to your wife, Sue, right? So does Sue, what does she think of your mother?
She doesn't know how to relate to her. She thinks she's kind of a bit of a mystery. Like she wants her to like her. She wants my mom to like her, but she doesn't. She just can't relate to her very well.
Okay. What does she think of? I mean, she knows the history of the violence with her current live-in boyfriend, right? Are they married?
Uh, my mom and
Yeah, yeah.
stepfather. Yes. Yes.
Okay. So your wife knows the history between your mother and your mother's husband, right?
Right.
Is there, I mean, when was the last time you heard of aggression, even just yelling in that relationship, in that marriage between your mother and her husband?
Sometime in the last few months, I heard something.
Okay, so the aggression is still going on, right?
Right.
Okay. Is it physical or verbal or something else?
It's verbal. They've they're both in their late 50s now, so they're getting mellowed out, I think.
Okay, so there's less physical. When was the last time you heard of anything physical?
It's probably been about 10 years.
Okay. All right. So it's still there's still aggression and maybe some verbal aggression, if not verbal abuse, but it's not as physical to your knowledge anymore. Okay. And it's true. I mean, aggressive people do mellow out as they age to some degree. Okay. And has your stepfather ever apologized for the violence he exposed you to as you were in your teens?
He just in a very um in a really shallow way he has, but then he'll turn right around and say he's told me he said he said man you needed somebody to toughen you up.
Huh. All right.
He said that several times,
Right.
which is him defending his actions as if the only way to grow up is to witness abuse.
Yes. Yes. Of course. Of course. Okay. All right. So he thinks he did a good thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So your wife knows all of this?
Yes.
Okay. So why do you think your wife is comfortable being around your mother?
I think she's kind of she's used to dealing with people like that. Her she dealt with a lot of those types of issues with her both her sister and her mother.
Sorry, I thought you said if you'd been raised by my mother, you'd have been encouraged to do everything and all these good things. And
Right. Her mother did raise them well, but her mother went through a number of relationships after her after my wife's dad was killed, and
sorry, your wife's dad was killed. How?
he was all I know, all they've told me is that he was shot. He was on the police force and was shot in the back of the head.
Oh my gosh.
And
Okay.
so her mother went through a series of relationships after that, and she's finally found someone who she's lived with a guy for several years, and they're married now. And he's a good guy.
Okay.
But excuse me,
It's all right. I'll take it out.
my wife is I would say she's used to people like my mom, and all she's told me is she said she has terrible taste in men.
Okay. All right. So there has been some pretty negative relationships in both you and your wife in the past, right?
Right.
Right. Well, if you allow, this is my speech and my perspective, right? So, in my experience, and I say this with all humility because it wasn't like I learned this day one or implemented it day one that I learned it. So I say this with all humility. But if you have corrupt, negative, evil, dysfunctional, destructive people around you, then you will lose love. Sure. You will lose love because love is fidelity. Sorry, virtue is fidelity to rational morals. And the most foundational one of those is honesty. And if you have relationships in your life where you can't be honest, then every time you have that relationship and you exercise that dishonesty, and the most pervasive dishonesty is the lying by omission, right? The things you don't talk about. So when you're around your mother and your wife is around your mother, she knows your history and she sees you being nice to your mother, right?
Right.
Is it possible? And again, I'm open to the case. Is it possible to look at someone who is conforming to a corrupt person when they don't have to? Is it possible to look upon that person with respect?
Probably not.
I
No.
think it's pretty tough. Now, if you get pulled over by a corrupt cop, that's a different matter, right? But this is a voluntary relationship. So when she sees you being dishonest with your mother, it is hard to respect, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because women, and I think this is true for men as well, but it's in a different context usually, are women looking for strength in a man.
Yes.
When your wife sees you around your mother and you're kind of bowing and scraping before your mother and not being honest and conforming to what your mother wants, in other words, if you let your mother run your masculinity, because the masculine urge is to tell the truth and damn the consequences, is it possible, if your mother is running your integrity, for your wife to continue to have maximum respect for you?
No, it's not.
Right. You have a son. I heard him at times over the conversation. If
Yes.
when your son grows up or gets older and finds out how bad your mother was and continues to be, since she's still with a guy who's pretty aggressive and nobody's ever apologized or taken any responsibility. And you know what your son is going to, I'll tell you what your son will experience, my friend. So if you say to your son, don't eat the chocolate, right? And then you take a phone call or something, you're out of the room, you come back in, and he's got chocolate all over his face. And you say, oh, I told you not to eat the chocolate. And he says, I didn't eat any chocolate. What would you say?
Say, yes, you did. It's on your face.
Right. You'd say, listen, you have to take responsibility for what you did. I don't want you lying to me and saying that you didn't do something that you clearly did, right? And you wouldn't say it mean or aggressive, but you'd say, look, I don't want you denying what you did, right?
Right.
But do you let your mom do that? She's got chocolate all over her face, hell, blood all over her face, it seems. You never call her out on anything. So then your son will grow up and he'll say, oh, so dad doesn't believe that on principle. He only says that to me because he was bigger than me, because he feels stronger than me, because he's got more power than me. But when he's around someone who has power over him, he shuts up. He's got no principles but power. He's not scared of me, so he tells me that I have to admit what I did, but he's scared of his mommy, so he doesn't do that with her. How is your son going to feel about you when he realizes that?
You won't have respect for me.
Having a principle that says people need to be held accountable for their actions isn't just for your 3-year-old son. It is a principle, which means it's for everyone or no one. And yeah, principles are tough, man. I shouldn't have to tell a Christian that. Principles are tough.
Yeah, they are.
But you can't sit there and say, well, my son, it's really important for him to own up to what he did and take responsibility for his actions. But my mom, my stepdad, my dad, even to some degree, no, it's, forget that. So then you don't actually have principles if you don't apply them consistently. Did you see what I mean?
Yes.
And I think that the despair, and you say, well, love might leave me, it's like, because you have values that you apply or don't apply based on power, not virtue. You have power over your son, so you can hold him accountable for what he does. You feel like you don't have power over your mother or her husband, so you don't hold them accountable for what they did. But there's no principles there. And without the principles, you can't have consistent love. And so when your wife, when Sue says, I'm concerned that you might change, it's because she's seen you change. From a guy who has honesty, integrity, to the guy who's around his mom and shuts up. From the guy who holds his son accountable and holds himself accountable and holds Sue accountable, to the guy who doesn't hold other people accountable because he's scared. And listen, I have sympathy for the fear. I'm not saying that that's cowardice. No, not at all. I mean, it's rational to have fear of people who've done us great harm in the past. But my point is that I would assume that your fear that everything good is going to slip away is because you are still not quite there to running on principle. And listen, brother, we all have this problem, right? I don't. Last thing I want to do is be some shiny-headed guru who I do all of this perfectly. I sure as hell don't. But you got to be conscious of it. You got to be conscious of the gap, and you've got to say, well, I hold my son accountable if he does something wrong. I hold myself accountable if I do something wrong. I will talk to my wife if I see her do something wrong and say, I think you kind of need to do better and blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to my parents or other people, I don't say a goddamn thing. It's just important to be aware of that. Now, if you're only aware of that unconsciously, I think you'll have a sense that everything's going to slip away. It would be like if you were a sleep eater, like if you were overweight and I don't know why, I barely eat anything during the day. I keep gaining weight. And then you set up a camera and you realize that you go and eat a cheesecake every night in your sleep and you're not even aware of it. Then you can't control your weight if you don't even know that you're sleep eating. And you can't control who loves you or whether you have consistent love if you're not aware of where your integrity mysteriously reverses, if that makes sense. Where your commitment to honesty and directness and holding yourself and others accountable for their actions just completely reverses unconsciously. That's a very dangerous place, because if you impose values on your son, and this stuff I assume is tough in particular because you're a father and your son is 3, I think, so you're beginning to teach him some morals, right?
Right.
Right. Some responsibility, some telling the truth, some holding yourself accountable. 3, 2.5, 3, that's when you maybe a little earlier, maybe a little later, whatever, right? But you're starting to teach your son morals, right? Now, are you teaching your son morals and saying, well, if you ate the chocolate when I asked you not to, I'm going to hold you accountable, but only because I'm bigger and only because I have power over you, right? And truth is a value for me when I have power over people, but truth is not a value for me when I'm frightened of people or I think they might have power over me or might be able to say things that are mean. That's not what you do. What do you say to your son about the truth and being responsible?
I say that it applies to all people.
Right. And when he gets older and he finds out about your mother and your father, is he going to believe you?
No, he won't.
I will not have people in my life that I have to lie to, especially in front of my wife and daughter, because I don't want them to see me lying. If I'm going to hold myself and those around me responsible for our actions, why on earth would I have people in my life that I cannot hold responsible for their actions, and then have all of the people I say, well, you got to be responsible for your actions. You got to tell the truth. You got to be honest. You got to have courage. You got to, right? Because your son is going to grow up and he's going to get into his teenage years and he's going to face a lot of peer pressure, right? How are you going to protect him against peer pressure when you yourself are subject to peer pressure, like your parents, right? They don't want to talk about stuff. You're like, okay, I won't, right? And listen, I understand it's difficult. I do. I really do understand it's difficult. And I have less excuse for that than most people. So again, I say this with all humility, but you want your children to choose what is right over what is easy, right?
Mhm.
And so you, my friend, have to choose what is right over what is easy. Or give up the virtues. Let your kids run wild, or let your son run wild and say, well, I don't really believe in honesty or integrity or holding people accountable or, morality or truth, or I don't really believe in any of that stuff. Because, I mean, as you can see, I don't apply it to your grandmother. So integrity is tough. It's tough. And the fact that you have chosen to get married and you've chosen to become a father means you cannot now choose falseness. You cannot now choose a lack of integrity because people have bound to you, your wife by choice, your son by biology. People have bound to you based upon your virtues, which means the more consistent your virtues, the more secure you will be in people loving you and the more respect you will have for yourself. Look, you can't respect yourself for bowing down towards your mother's avoidance, right? Sorry, are we still on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. Like, as a man, you can't be like, well, I have to dance around mommy's gaslighting and avoidance, right?
Right.
And every time your wife sees you gaslighting, like dancing around your mother's gaslighting and avoidance, she's going to lose a bit of respect for you. You're going to lose a bit of respect for yourself. And then you're going to get a sense of doom. Like, this is never going to end. I can never be myself. Be yourself. Tell the truth. Honestly. What's the most important commandment from God himself about the truth?
Truth will set you free.
Thou shalt not bear false witness.
Yeah.
Are you bearing false witness with your mother?
Yes.
You are. And listen, it's a sin. I mean, it's a sin to lie. You've got some problems with your mother, which I really sympathize with, and I'm very sorry for the childhood that you had, like 1,000,000,000 big bro hug %. I'm really sorry for the childhood that you have. But now that you're pushing 40, it's time to tell the truth. Because your responsibility is not to your mother. Your responsibility is to your wife and your son and your children to come. And you can only serve that responsibility by being honest and strong, courageous. We need courage for when we are frightened, right?
Right.
So if you want to, my advice, and the advice is always the same, but it's difficult to apply in particular circumstances. So I really sympathize with that. But your stepdad is very big on toughening you up. Okay, so a tough guy goes and has that honest conversation. Hey, tough guy, why have you never taken responsibility for your violence against my mother and what you exposed me to, Mr. Tough Guy? Now, it could be that he's still violent, right? And that could be dangerous. So don't do it if you think it's dangerous physically, right?
Right. Yeah. He
But
is what they call.
I'm sorry?
He is. He's been diagnosed with narcissistic personality, so he's the type that will never take responsibility.
Okay. What do you think your mom is?
Yeah.
So seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. She's not far off.
Okay. So if they're never going to take responsibility, and which means they're always going to lie, because they have responsibility. If they just won't accept it, it means it's their lie, right? And if you would not accept your kid with his face full of chocolate saying it wasn't me, I never did it, it didn't happen, you're crazy, then why would you accept that from your mother or your stepfather?
Yeah, I think it's like you said. It's about I perceive them as more powerful than me, so I don't hold them accountable.
Right. And so then everything you do with your kid and even your wife becomes because you're not scared of them. In other words, people you are afraid of and kind of quote respect, they get away with murder. But the people you don't really respect, well, you hold them morally accountable, blah, 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 right? So you don't want to be that guy, right? That's no good, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. That's most of what I wanted to get across. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention? How's the conversation been for you as a whole?
It's been very helpful. I did want to mention that you inspired me to have children, largely a lot of the videos you did about having children really had an effect on me. So just wanted to tell you that.
I really appreciate that, and I massively respect, for what it's worth, massively respect the turnaround that you and your wife are doing from where you came from to what you're committed to as parents. I mean, the peaceful parenting stuff, I'm sure, is in there, and I just, it's incredible what you guys have done, and I just massive respect. This is more of a tweak than anything, but I just wanted to say again, I'm really sorry for everything that happened as a child. It's just completely monstrous, and I'm really sorry about all of that, and also that my immense admiration for what you've been able to do and how you've been able to move forward in your life is truly wonderful. And you're not obligated to tell the truth to anyone, but you need to be aware when you are withholding the truth and you are going along with other people's selfishness or narcissism. All that you have to be is conscious, and then you have a choice. But right now, I'm not sure that you feel like you have a choice, like you just got to see your mother, and well, you can't say stuff because she'll get mad, and like there's just not much choice there. And I'm a big one for improving choice. All right, well, listen, I hope you'll keep me posted about how it's going, and I really do appreciate your time commitment today. I know that's a big chunk of time when you've got a kid around, so I hope you'll keep me posted about how it's going, and I hope you'll accept a big bro hug for everything that you've gone through, and you can have a way better life going forward if you follow these kinds of principles, I think.
And thank you for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you.
All right, all the best, brother. Take care. Bye-bye.